It's crazy. We are in one of the most divisive times, and yet our entire social media is going to be in the hands of like four guys. And maybe it shouldn't be. And I know, God forbid, maybe that's a hot take, but it shouldn't be. I'm Tori. I am the CEO and co-founder of Skylight Social. We are working to build a video-based social platform that allows creators and users to own the social accounts that they build.
So what does that mean?
Is that so funny, right? Decentralization.
Yes.
Really? Okay, so we are built on what we're calling the open social internet. It's the same infrastructure that Blue Sky is built on. And really what it allows the user to do is, or the technology of it is that the app owner doesn't have to be the owner of your social account in order for you to log in and see your content. And that becomes incredibly important because that means that I, as the owner of an application, don't own everything that you create. And I don't just mean your videos and your photos. I mean the list of followers that you have, right? The community that you build, the recipes that you press save on. I'm not the owner of those. And what that means is that I can't just kick you out of the things that you've created. You have ownership. And so when you have ownership as a user, you can actually hold me accountable as an app owner and say, if you are not a good facilitator of this space, I'm going to leave. And I want you to stay, right? And so I'm going to try and respect what the users want. And so I get the question a lot, I think, of how can I trust you? How can I trust you as the CEO of this new social media site? And I want to be able to earn your trust, right? But I also am building this on the open social internet so you don't have to trust me because you have the power to leave. And we're just not used to it. We're used to being stuck in places like Instagram where if you have 1 million followers and you try to leave, that's it. You say goodbye to your community. And I think that's the power that we want to start seeing on social media.
Can you break down a little bit more tactically what that means on Instagram? So let's say, to your point, someone has 1 million followers on Instagram. They want to come use Skylight. What does that look like for them?
So Instagram is a closed platform. So you wouldn't be able to bring your Instagram followers to Skylight. But Skylight is built on the open social internet. Blue Sky is built on the open social internet. Flashes is built on the open social internet. And so what that means is that when you log into Skylight and start gaining followers and start gaining presence, when you take that social account and log into Blue Sky, you're going to have the same followers there. You're going to see all of your content there too. So it would be as if TikTok and Instagram worked together rather than constantly being at each other's throat for our engagement, right? It would be as if you moved from TikTok to Instagram easily. All of your followers were there. You could have as many accounts as you want. If you wanted to separate out accounts, you could, right? But it's just the control is in your hands.
So what's in it for you as the CEO?
Our purpose is to be a good arbiter of this space, of this video platform, because we still get to make decisions and govern this platform. But yeah, I guess I'm just not motivated by a lot of the same things that they are. I don't feel that I need to own your data. I don't want to strip as much engagement out of you as possible to the point where it's like detrimental to your mental health. I'm not motivated by those things. The reason I started this is because I'm a creator myself and I was about to lose my audience and I was angry. And so I think that's the thing that I'm working to build.
How do you make money?
So we don't make money right now. We haven't monetized at all. I know that there's the traditional ways like live gifts, subscriptions, and we're looking at some of those to help support the platform and possibly do things like a creator fund. I think that's just going to take time, right? We have to get people on the platform, figure out what they're really liking about it, what's working, get that flywheel going before we put in monetization levers.
Got it. And I saw 290,000 users. It's September 25th. Is that right?
Yes. Actually, we have 300,000.
That's amazing. That's wild.
People are motivated. Like people want to have platforms that don't make them control everything and can take everything away from them. I think people are seeing it. I'm excited about the future for sure.
Yeah. What are you seeing as, obviously we don't know what's going to happen right now with the TikTok news. There's a lot of news circulating right now about the future of TikTok as it stands as the standalone app right now without American interference outside of the security and data centers here, So what are you hearing from people who are used to using TikTok, who are watching the news unfold and learning that there's a lot of American interest and a lot of American, I would say like influential American people getting involved in the future of TikTok? Like, what are you hearing from users of TikTok for that?
I think a lot of fear. TikTok for a lot of people has become a place to gather and learn about things that you honestly just don't hear about on other platforms. And I think people are already starting to feel that censorship that's coming down. Yeah, just a lot of fear. And so I hope that we're able to help create and build communities where people can just have more control over that community, right? More ability to foster that community as a member of that community rather than a top down that happens on these platforms where the person at the top really controls what everyone else sees.
Interesting. That brings up a good question. So I talked about how before we started recording that I asked my Instagram audience questions that they would want to ask you. And I received a bunch of questions about the algorithm. So right now we know that on the social platforms that we're used to using, it's like a black box. We don't have insight into how the algorithm is built. How does that work for Skylight?
Yeah, I would say that we're still early days, so we're still building out the algorithm, if that makes sense. But one of the biggest differences, I think, between Skylight and a lot of these other platforms is that you can kind of build your own algorithm, which is to say you can create a custom feed that other people can come across. So the idea behind allowing these custom feeds on Skylight and really having them be a central part of the platform, as you're swiping up, you might run into different creators, and then sometimes you're going to land on a feed, like feeds like the Cat Sky videos feed or the LA protests feed, right? But the people who create those feeds, we aren't them. We aren't the controllers of those feeds. They're connected to the social accounts of the users who created those feeds. And so they get to control the algorithm on that feed. They get to control who shows up on the feed. And so I think it's like handing the mechanisms of distribution and placing them in the hands of users and creators and community members to say, like, we don't have to be the full arbiters of what gets seen. We can just show the feed, and then who gets seen on that feed is up to the people who are like fostering the community. And this has already been incredibly effective on Blue Sky. Like, one of the biggest communities on Blue Sky is actually Black Sky, and that is very community driven. The man who started it, Rudy, amazing guy. And that has, I think he's grown it to like over 2 million people on that
Wow.
feed. And he's building his own application as well, the Black Sky app. So
Hmm.
there's just a lot of opportunity to build out your own community and even take it elsewhere, right? Like, he started that community on Blue Sky, and the Black Sky videos feed actually exists on Skylight too. So someone might discover it on Skylight and then decide to download the Black Sky app and dive even deeper into that community. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity as a creator to build something that is lasting and can even go outside of maybe the first application that someone finds you on.
That's cool. So this might be a nuanced question, but let's say I want to build my own algorithm on Skylight or like my own, and what would you call that? What you're just referring to?
Yeah, your feed,
Your feed.
your
So
own
okay.
feed.
So I would want to create a custom feed that other people can subscribe to, is what it sounds like.
Exactly.
And then do those people influence that algorithm, or am I the controller of that algorithm?
You would get to decide. So it could be a feed that is super niched down where you only have a few creators on it because you feel like this is a special community.
So
It
it's
could be a
handpicked.
super
You can
broad.
handpick.
Exactly. You could handpick users even, which could lead to like some fun things. I think of like maybe a book club where you've chosen the people who are going to speak about the book or whatever, right? But it also could be incredibly broad where you are getting algorithmic with it. And I think of like, so one of the best ways to create a feed right now is using Gray's Social. And that's who we're working with on the feed builder. We're working on an in-app feed builder that'll allow you to build a simple feed inside of the app. If you want to build what would be a good way, more complex feed that has more levers in it, maybe is more algorithmic, then you could use Grays.social.
So Feed Builder is a external partner that you're working with to build the feeds in the app.
Exactly. But I want to make sure that we say too, so Grays is another company on this open social internet that has created a way to easily build feeds. And we are telling people, hey, you can use this feed builder, but the feed itself ends up connected to your social account. So I want to say that like you have ownership over that feed as well. So, but yeah, that's one way. And then I would say this too is if you want to some people really want to get into the weeds and build out an algorithmic feed, like, and encode it. And that is what Rudy has done. His feeds are written in code. And so there's just levels of what you might want to do.
How would you describe to someone who is new to decentralization? Because this is you're representing a very new era of social media, really. How would you describe the features in comparison to like an Instagram or a TikTok? What are they going to get that's very similar, and what are they not going to get?
Yeah. I want to say first that Web3 decentralization has been around for a lot of years. And so we are really standing on the shoulders of giants. Very thankful for Blue Sky, who built out the app protocol, which is part of this open social internet that we're on. As far as the things that you're going to get that are the same, you're just going to get fun platforms to post your cool stuff, to post your blogs like Leaflet, to post your pictures like Flashes, which is like an Instagram competitor, to post your videos like Skylight. It's just a fun place to be, a fun place to hang out, right? And the thing that you're going to get that's different is power. You're going to be able to say, it's really a choice to stay at this application, because if I stop agreeing with what they're doing, I have freedom of movement as a user. And then another thing, that there's like so much opportunity when you own the content to be able to do, like there is another creator, her name's Sharpie, who we've been working with, and she really wants to have her feed show up on her website and her live streaming show up on her website, as well as show up on Skylight. And she can do that because it all goes through her social account that ultimately she gets to own. And so I think when you have ownership over something, there's just a lot more fun, like playful things you could do with it.
So
You
it's
could build your own
video.
app.
Yeah, you could have video, you could have photos, you could almost create a blog experience to what you're saying. Like it seems
There
like it
actually
could
is one.
be,
A lot of
yeah,
people use it. It's called
amazing.
Leaflet, and people write blogs on it.
Wow. So
Yeah,
like even looking at like a Substack, this could be a potential replacement for that for them.
exactly. Exactly.
Interesting.
And it's all connected to your one account, right?
And that's what I think is challenging for people to understand, because they're so used to going to these separate social media platforms to get their username, to get their own account, to build their content on there. It's just so different for people who are brand new to it.
Yes. Yeah. We're so used to having our accounts and all of the stuff that we create owned by companies. We're not used to the freedom of getting to control where that account sits. So I truly like to think of it as like your social website, because websites are something where we truly do understand this really well, right? Like you have a personal website, I'm sure, and I do too, buildwithtori.com. And I get to choose the company who hosts that website. Maybe I build it on WordPress, maybe I host it with Vercel, right? And then when I go on Google Chrome, I can see that website. But I also can see that website when I go on Safari or when I go on Mozilla Firefox, right? And if Google Chrome got banned, I wouldn't cry for Google Chrome. I would just use a different browser, right? And that's what we want to bring to the social media space, is to say that we want you to be able to build your social website, put all of your cool stuff on it, your comments, your videos, your list of followers will exist on this social website. And you can view that social website on Skylight, where we'll filter out and only show you the videos. Or you can view that social website on Blue Sky, where they're going to show you a lot of your content. Or view it on Flashes, where you'll get to see your pictures, right? But at the end of the day, that social website belongs to you. And you get to choose the company that you host, or that hosts that website for you. So a lot of people have Blue Sky, right? If your username ends in .bsky.social, then that means that your social website, your personal data server, is with Blue Sky. But a lot of people are migrating right now. So there's a ton of users who have migrated to Black Sky. And so if you see a username that says .blacksky.app, that means that social account is held with Black Sky. But they're still able to sign into Skylight, sign into Blue Sky, sign in anywhere, and see all of their stuff.
What about security? So right now you have on social media, especially, tons of bots, tons of AI automated content that's being built. How could Skylight be different for people?
Yeah, we already have people who are like doing bot detection and filtering out. That's the other thing, is we have a lot of composable moderation. And this is all stuff that was built by Blue Sky. That team is incredible. But basically, it allows anyone to build a moderation service and track things. And you can sign up for that moderation service. And so there's ones that track AI and will label AI for you. If they think it is like an AI generated thing, it'll put a little label on it.
So you can like opt in to these things if you're a user. Interesting.
Exactly. And this is the composability part. You really get to like choose your own journey. Yeah. Ends up being a pretty awesome experience. And of course, we still have a ways to go, right, for building these things out. But there's a lot of people in the community who are building these out. So Blue Sky obviously started it, but there are people like, again, Black Sky has a moderation service that that moderates your content. And honestly, it does a lot of stuff around like hate speech as well. So anyone can build these things, and then we all get to benefit from them on all of these different platforms.
How do you control the bias in those scenarios? So right now we have, and I'm just framing this up for people that are used to using these traditional social media apps that we're conditioned to using right now, Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, Substack, right? They all have their own protocols for moderation, what's appropriate, what's considered to be potentially biased, what's considered to be dangerous. Are there preliminary protocols that exist when you sign up, or do you have to set all of that up yourself?
Oh, yes. Yeah. There's preliminary protocols that exist. I'll say this. So you have control over your social account, right? And you get to choose the applications that you spend time in, like whether you spend time in Blue Sky or Skylight. But at the end of the day, Skylight, we are the owners of Skylight. And so we govern Skylight. We do govern Skylight. So we get to say how much or how little of something ends up being there. And we have a very open platform at this point. But yeah, we are still like the governors of this space. I like to think of it like that.
And where does Blue Sky come in? So Blue Sky was, just for those who maybe are not familiar, Blue Sky was created as decentralized almost version of Twitter or X is what it feels like, I think, to most people. What is the connection there between Skylight and Blue Sky?
The connection is truly that we're built on the same protocol. Protocols are something we use every single day and are very common. The internet protocol. The reason that we could go to this website and film this, and we both have access to this website, is because of the internet protocols that basically just say, this is how data is going to get organized. So when we build things, let's make sure we organize like this so that everyone can have access to it. That's all of these that these protocols do. Another really common protocol is the email protocol. So that if you have an Outlook email or I have a Gmail, we can still send emails to each other. It's open, right? And so we use, basically it's just a way of like organizing data. It's a handshake between builders to say, hey, I'm going to use bricks. You should use bricks too. That way our things mesh really easy. Or we all can visit these websites.
And what's the benefit of that?
The benefit of that is this like movement across applications that users can do, because their data that is held in their data server is organized in a way that allows our application to read it and allows Blue Sky's application to read it and allows Flash's to read it. And that's all it is. And it's the same way that every website has data organized in a specific way, so that when you go on Google Chrome and you go to buildwithtori.com, or skylight.social, you're going to be able to see that website because the data that is that website is organized in a specific way for you to be able to see it. So it's like a
That's a good
handshake. Is that good?
Yeah, that's a good explanation. Yeah, I think it's just a new world, right? It's a new world for so many people.
What's funny is we already live in it, right? We all have the open free internet. Social media was just purposefully not built that way. And I'll say this too, is the internet was almost not built that way. There were many big players at the beginning of the internet, including Facebook, who tried to own it. Facebook offered internet to like low income countries to say, oh, we'll give you internet, but you're only going to have access to these apps that we choose.
Yeah.
And thank God those countries were like, no. At the end of the day, they wanted to have the open, free internet, not that now we all use and get to connect on. But man, were they effective with closing down social media and making social media not open
Completely.
like the internet is.
And we're used to seeing that. But to think that a company could own the internet, or in a world that we live in right now, own these social media apps, there is probably going to be a time when we're going to look back on this and say, how are we
How did we get there?
Yeah.
How are we okay with 4 dudes choosing how we form community and how our communities find each other? I think I completely agree with that we'll look back on this and say that was insane. I can't believe we let them rule over how we connect.
Yeah. When we look at the algorithms right now that we're familiar with in the traditional social media realm, we don't have insight into how the algorithms work. But we know for a lot of people that social media is now the primary source of where they get their news. But how does that work if someone wants to see more news, for example, in their feed? Is that something that they can just build? Do they have to be intentional about it? Or does the algorithm surface that content initially like it would if you were to join a TikTok to almost like test to see if you're interested in it?
Yeah, we're going to showcase that information. So we'll give you, as you're swiping, you'll come across different channels, and then you can subscribe to them if you would like to, right? And then if you click on those channels, you get to see the person who built it as well. So you can actually go to that user's profile and see who's the one that is the creator of this channel. And there are actually already popular news channels who are, what's her name? I think it's Andra is the creator of the news channel that is like incredibly popular on Blue Sky, a great arbiter, curator for that channel. So this is what I think is going to happen, is that we're going to see pretty like curators come up as the means of distribution, that they will start curating and protecting communities and start owning these levers of distribution. But yeah, our goal is to showcase a bunch of different channels for you. You can save them. And honestly, we are still going to do the TikTok style where you will just get random creators too, right? Like not everything has to exist inside of a feed, right? So you'll just keep swiping. Sometimes you'll see individual creators. Sometimes you'll see channels, and you can save them or you can mute them if you want to not have that as part of your like algorithm.
So one thing that I notice, especially because people are using social media for news right now, is that, and you've heard this term before, is that people get stuck in these echo chambers because the algorithms are learning to send people down certain paths. Is there a way for Skylight to, are you looking at it purely as what people are expressing interest in? Are you constantly testing new pieces of content to gauge someone's interest in things, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So I think what we're getting at here is collaborative filtering, where, oh, you liked this piece of content. Other people who liked this also liked all of these. And
Mm.
so we're going to show you a piece of that as well. And that can sometimes lead to very much an echo chamber because we're only going to show you the things that these other people liked.
Mm-hmm.
We used collaborative filtering at the very beginning of our journey when we didn't have feeds, and it just wasn't as effective as we thought it would be. Um, I don't know if that's what we're going to end up doing, but I do think at least at the end of the day, you'll be able to search out channels and intentionally follow things if you want to. And then we are just going to showcase different channels for you. And so if you see one and you want to follow it, so you get that maybe different perspectives that start popping up as they do. If you want to have a broader perspective, or if you say to yourself, gosh, I wonder what's going on in that community, why they're thinking this way, and you want to follow it to better understand, you would be able to.
Hmm. Can people game the algorithm? Like, let's say I'm a user and I want to see how much engagement I can get. Can I do that?
I mean, you can game the algorithm on any platform. So
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, probably. I don't know that we've had anyone really doing that yet.
Get
I feel
ready.
like it's,
People watching this are going to be like, I'm going over
let's get
there.
in there.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like it's difficult to just because there's so many different users who control these different methods of distribution because of the feeds, right? Like gaming us versus gaming all of these individual feeds might be a different experience.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, give it a try.
Try it out, people. Yeah. That's the takeaway there.
Let's see.
Try
Let's
it.
see.
Yeah.
Uh,
How many people are on your team?
Hey, so it's Reed and I.
Yeah. And is
There's
that,
two of us.
given you have 300,000 users, what does that look like for the future? Because TikTok obviously is a global
Yeah.
entity with thousands of employees, and you have two people. So I think there's some concern, and I can be honest with you. I do think there's some concern for people of they're used to a TikTok experience, they're used to an Instagram experience. They want to come over and support this new app, especially given all the things that you just talked about. However, there could be hiccups of like tech hiccups or certain things that are happening because you're a team of two. So what does that look like in the future for you guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, of course, we want to be a bigger team. And that is going to happen as we grow. And I guess what I'll say, though, is that because we are built on this open social infrastructure, we do not have to build everything ourselves. So
Hmm.
while, yes, we are a team of two, we are actually working in community with a ton of other teams, right? So we have live streaming on our platform, and we didn't have to build that. That was built by Streamplace, and the owner of that is Eli. And he created live streaming that can exist on a ton of platforms on or any platform that's built on the app protocol. And so that's this part of like interoperability. I think of like our feed builder, right? We're not building that. Graze is helping us with that. We
Mhm.
when it on a open platform where everyone is helping everyone else, it really is. We are all boats in this ocean, Graze, Blue Sky, Skylight, and we are all working together to fill it with water so that we all rise versus being like one tiny boat on our own little lake, which is what all of these other platforms are. So, yes, we have two people, but man, there is a huge community working to make the open social internet amazing. And we are working in congruence with them.
It just goes back. The question that I continue to have is because you guys are doing this full time, and right, I'm assuming, I'd imagine.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I was like, that would be crazy if you weren't. That would be nutty. Because you're doing it full time, like, from a living standpoint, like, I'd imagine that at some point you're going to have to monetize or get paid in some way. Is that a matter of, and you might not be ready to answer this yet, and that's fine, but are you going to be fundraising? Are you going to be allowing ads in the platform? Like, where do you see that happening in order to continue to scale?
Yeah, similar to Blue Sky, we're going to be fundraising. We've already fundraised a bit, and that's why we've been able to sustain ourselves. And yeah, we're going to continue to fundraise so that we can bring more money into this ecosystem. I definitely don't think these things get built, with nothing. We do have
Mhm.
to have money to support it. And then as far as sustainability goes, long term, it's going to be about putting in those monetization levers, right? Like live gifts, subscriptions, maybe Sky Shop, which a lot of people are asking for. So I think
Hmm.
there's a lot of opportunity to make money down the line. But yeah, at this point, it is investment, which there is an article on TechCrunch about. If anyone has any questions
Cool.
about our investors, I recommend checking out that article.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a tough question because if you're an
Yeah.
investor, then what is an investor hoping to get out of this? Because it is decentralized, this is a completely different world, once again, than we're used to operating in. So, questions that I had received on my Instagram when I had asked people, and I think there was a lot of concern around, like, I'm just pulling it up right now. I had one person say, who, if any, are the VC or other backers? What's their motivation for getting involved? Why would they be getting involved? Someone said, are the creators good people, not evil billionaires? Like there is a lot of, and someone also said, honestly, funding, what are the company's long-term goals? How will Skylight be different? So I think there's a lot of mistrust that's happened naturally among users using these other social media platforms. And they want to know what they're getting themselves into, even with the understanding of the decentralization component of it, which I do think makes it more appealing. How would you answer these people who are coming from a platform that is, or coming from these platforms, but one platform in particular that is now going to have potentially a lot of censorship and oversight from the government? How do you answer that for people when they're looking at investors and investor motivations?
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of the reason we ask this question so heavily is because we have to have such deep trust in the people who own our social media because they control everything. We don't get to leave. We lose access to our audience. If they're not good arbiters of this space, we lose everything that we've built, especially as creators who build platforms. And so I want to say first and foremost, the reason we're building on this decentralized platform is for the escape hatch. So that if we are not good arbiters of the space, if you stop trusting us, you should leave. You can and you should leave. And that is your right and your power. And you should step into that. But that is to say that I hope we are able to gain your trust, right? I do want to be a good arbiter of this space. But as far as our investors go, that is public information. Mark Cuban, Graham and Walker, we have investors. It's all public out there. You can go see. And I think they understand this too, right? They're not going into this blind. They understand that that is part of delivering choice into the social media ecosystem, is that there could be users that decide to choose differently. But I just think choice is power, right? Being forced into a place is never fun. If you want something changed on Instagram, you can beg Mark Zuckerberg, or you can beg the government to beg Mark Zuckerberg. And that's it, right?
Yeah.
Jay always says that. She's the CEO of Blue Sky. I love that quote because that's true. That's all you have. Versus on Skylight, I would say continue to ask us the hard questions, right? Continue to push against things that you don't agree with. And if we don't hear you or if you disagree with us, you have the power to move to different platforms. And that is what needs to get created in social.
And we're so used to being on these platforms because they've created this walled garden, this experience where our friends exist on those platforms, but we might not necessarily ethically, culturally align with how they're doing things. So you're really saying that people are empowered to go do whatever they need to do. They can go support and take their audience to a certain place that they believe in based on what they know about the platform itself. It seems like there's more transparency.
Yeah. And it's funny because it does feel like every other area of life we have choice, right? Like even at the store, I go in and I get to choose the cereal brand I buy. But it's social media because they get us locked in. It feels like you don't have choice, especially if you've spent years on a platform. I mean, I know myself, I've been on Facebook for over 20 years. That's crazy. That's a lot of my life. My grandma was on Facebook for 20 years, right? And she's passed away now. So if I leave Facebook, I literally don't get to see the conversations that I've had on Facebook with my now passed away grandma. They should not get to own that. They shouldn't get to own that. And that's the basis of all of this. So we already make choices. We already choose brands. We choose where to spend our money. And that choice should just exist in social media. And I hope that Skylight is able to earn that trust and earn that choice.
Yeah. You think about how many walled gardens we have between even our phones, right? It's the same thing.
Yes, it is. Right? App Store, Google Play Store, a lot of hoops to jump through to exist in these spaces.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work to be done to continue to, free up different parts of the internet.
I'm going to look at some of these other questions that people have. So someone said policies around censorship and what can and can't be shown, which I feel like we discussed at a high level. Is there a place where people can go understand your, I don't want to say censorship model, but what's innate to you for Skylight versus who you're partnering with to understand at a basic level what they're going to see and not see, like the basic guardrails, if that makes sense?
Yes, we have community guidelines and privacy policy. I do not
Perfect.
remember the exact website of those, but I can post those. Maybe I should
That's
post
great.
those today so that it's obvious. And then,
That's great. What
we
about,
do have those.
and then someone else said, so this is once again, we are looking at people coming from traditional social to this new experience in the decentralized space. Someone had asked, how does it work with following people? So we're very conditioned right now to following people on other social platforms. Like, what does that look like on Skylight?
Yeah. So when you follow someone, on Skylight. You actually end up following them on these other platforms as well. So Blue Sky and Flashes. And then as far as what it affects on your algorithm, when you follow someone, you're more likely to see that person or see that person's videos. So we'll serve their videos to you.
Got it. That was the question. Great. Someone else said, what are the guiding principles around hate speech harassment, which I'd imagine is also in your community guidelines?
Yes. Yeah. And I don't remember verbatim off the top of my head, but yeah, we do censor hate speech. We do. I would just recommend people go read our community guidelines.
That's
And
great.
honestly,
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff too, I would say we work in congruence with Blue Sky as well. So if you want to read Blue Sky's community guidelines as well, would probably be a good thing to glance at.
Helpful. What about government interference? Because that is a huge topic of conversation right now with TikTok specifically. What does that look like for Skylight? How the government can potentially get involved with the app or have oversight over how the algorithm is delivering things? Like, is that because it is decentralized and you're not a tech giant, going to these White House dinners,
Yeah.
Like, I'd imagine it looks very different, but it seems like from what you're saying that because it is the way that it's created, there is really no ability for there to be government oversight because of how personalized the platform is.
The decentralization is really about separating the app and the app owner from the user and the social account. So it is true that we have to follow US government laws. We are a US company. So if there was oversight one day, like let's say dystopia happens and we have the government says that they have to control everything that gets seen, that is something that could happen to Skylight. At that point, users would then need to probably use that escape hatch and go somewhere else. I think of Flashes, which is actually owned by a guy named Sebastian, and he's in Germany. And there's actually an entire movement in Europe called, I think it's called Eurosky, that is working on replicating the data, the servers on European servers so that this data would always be protected. And so I think there's a movement right now around the world towards open social, right? There's 40 million people on this open social internet. And so it's not just us, but we would have to fall under the laws of the government. But as far as being able to maybe escape to other places, right? That's definitely still an option in this world.
Yeah. Is it global? So anyone globally can sign up for Skylight?
No, we're not global yet. We're just
Okay.
in North America, so US and Canada. We absolutely want to be global, but there's just two of us and we haven't had the bandwidth yet to make that happen, especially with a lot of the newer like age restrictions laws that are coming out. The laws in Europe and the UK are just a little bit different than here, and we want to make sure we comply before opening up.
Makes sense. What are your thoughts on people who are saying that they're done with social media, that they're going to go touch grass, that they're over social media and they're ready to just ditch it completely?
Yeah, I would say that everyone gets to choose what's right for them, and that's beautiful, and they should, right? I don't want to, or I wouldn't want to force anyone to do anything. I think what's sad is that part of the reason that they feel that way is because of what social media has become. This like addiction engine that is trying to get more and more hours out of you, not thinking about your well-being or anything like that, right? It's just about maximizing your engagement and has nothing to do with your like satisfaction or well-being as a human being. And yeah, I hope we can work to change that. That's something that we really want to see change on Skylight.
Do you think social media, in that sense of what you're building, can have a positive effect for people?
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
I know. And I will say too, we are a public benefit corporation, and that's actually in our mission statement, which is on our website if anyone wants to go read that. And what that means is it just protects us from if anyone tried to make us do something because it was monetarily the thing that should do because it'll be better for making us money. We actually have an obligation to protect the well-being of our users above all else. That's a part of our mission. And it's
How
legally binding for us. It was something we built
interesting.
into our company.
When it comes to acquisitions, let's say someone wants to come in and buy out Skylight.
Yeah, so this is part of that as well. I think of the Twitter acquisition, which was massive and we all heard about it. Twitter, because it's a corporation that it has to answer to its shareholders, whether or not they wanted to, they really didn't have a choice to accept that offer because it was such a good offer for their shareholders, right? And that's why we became a public benefit corporation, because we could say if someone gave us a offer like that to purchase us and we didn't agree with the people who were going to purchase us, we could say, hey, look at our mission. This actually doesn't align with our mission. And because of that, we are legally bound to not accept the offer. And so I think that's an important protective piece that we've put into place by being a public benefit corporation.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And are there other companies, all the companies that you're partnering with, are they also part of that as well?
Yeah, so Blue Sky is a public benefit corporation as well. I actually don't know what Streamplace or Graze is, so I don't want to speak on that, but everyone should go look into it. It's, I think, an awesome way for companies to protect themselves.
Love it. Talk about the sign up experience when people go to sign up on Skylight. What does that look like and what information do they need to have handy?
Yeah, so when you sign up for Skylight, you actually log in with your Blue Sky account. And if you don't have a Blue Sky account, you can sign up for one there. And that's just because we're not currently offering social, like the ability to build a social account with Skylight. I believe all you need is your email and it makes it easy.
Amazing. Great. Is there anything else you can think of that would be helpful for people to know, especially on a day like today when they're thinking about leaving TikTok potentially?
I would say that we would love to have you on Skylight. Yeah, I think we're living in an incredibly divisive world where we don't really have a lot of control over the things that we see. And hopefully we can work to build a place in partnership with all of the users and curators, build a place that has a lot more freedom of information, less censorship, and more ability to build community.
What about people who are signing up who are used to getting the TikTok experience and they're not getting it in terms of speed, reliability? Maybe there's some like tech hiccups. How can people help you right now? And what's the best way for them to support Skylight?
Goodness. I would say that a lot of people already are. Like the comments that are supportive, people spending time on the platform, telling us what needs to get fixed, people's feedback
What's the
has
best way to
directly
do that?
led.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the best way, we actually have a feedback. It's called skylight-social.canny.io. It's a way to give feedback on what you're seeing on the application. And that is incredibly useful for us. It lets us know what needs to get fixed, what things aren't working. And then also it's a way to put in feature requests to say, hey, I want to see this on the
Cool.
application. Yeah.
That's great. Have you gotten some juicy feature requests from people?
Well, earlier we had a horizontal feed, not a vertical
Oh,
swiping feed, and that did not go over
oh,
well.
that feels so weird to even like think about that. I don't know. It's just like,
Yes.
I don't know. Can't picture it.
So we recently changed that, and the vertical swiping feed has gone over really, really well. People are loving it. So I encourage everyone to go check it out.
Yeah, love that. This was amazing. You are great. And I think for people who want to go support you, it's just time for them to go download it if they haven't already.
Let's go Skylight. Come on, you guys.